Hello, everyone. This is Kevin Sloan, the director of the University Rover Challenge. We are getting ready for the 2024 URC finals, and we are coming to you to give you a preview of the autonomous navigation mission. This is one of the most exciting missions. I'm always a big fan of this one. It's a lot of fun to see how teams do in some pretty stressing environments, especially when they have to let go of the controls and let the rover start making decisions on its own. So today, joining me to help give an overview for teams, welcome to the stage, Darrel Robertson, longtime member of the URC team. Darrel, thanks for taking some time tonight to help explain to students what they're up against with the autonomous navigation course. So for this year, there's a lot of things that we've carried over. They're similar from previous years, but we've also thrown a couple of new wrinkles in. Do you want to talk a little bit about what teams have to do for this year?
Yeah, so same as last year, we're starting off with some accurate GPS. Basically, getting you guys to make sure you got your GPS down, got a good stable link, and can get to the target locations desired. We've beyond that, we have some AR tags. So working on some basic object recognition. Starting off with the AR tags that are nice high contrast. They'll be each on little poles, and they're numbered as shown here. We'll have one at the start gate for you guys to go back to or start from, and then a couple of posts out in the field. Those will get progressively further away from the GNSS location that we give you guys. So, hopefully the first one you can get to it and just look around and drive it, see it straight away and drive towards it. And then the last couple will, either require some amount of like a zoom on the camera or some like pattern search on the rover. And those will get progressively further away. And then the last two objects, we've some of the better teams at this point have kind of got the AR tags down and are doing quite well at that, and are in danger of scoring 100% on this mission. And we never like that to happen. So we want to push teams in the direction of recognizing real objects. So we've got two objects this year to go find. The first is a bright orange mallet for you guys to go recognize that in the field. Hopefully that will show up reasonably well against all the orange rocks out there. The neon orange mallet may not be trivial, but hopefully given a GPS location in its area, you guys will be able to find that without too much problem. And then the last one is just a Nalgene bottle. The actual bottle is going to be one of the old, whitish and blue ones, rather than the clear one shown here. But the other thing that we've been wanting to push teams in the direction of for a while is doing obstacle avoidance. And we've put a few objects in the way before, a few rocks we've tried to send you guys towards. This year, we are actually going to put a whole bunch of big boulders in the way that you guys will have to navigate around to be able to go find the Nalgene bottle. So as well as being able to recognize a real object, not just an AR tag, you guys will really need obstacle avoidance to be able to get to the Nalgene bottle this year.
Yeah, it definitely is going to be a very interesting mission this year with a couple of new wrinkles in there, with a couple of the objects that are a little bit different, a little bit harder to identify in the natural environment there. So teams should have a pretty good idea of what they're looking for, but it's definitely going to be pushing some of that visual recognition a bit further and definitely be challenging teams. One of the things that always jumps out at me with this mission, the way it's structured, is we start by focusing very heavily on just driving to those GNSS locations. And then that was something that was a very deliberate switch for URC a few years ago. We noticed teams were really struggling with a lot of the basic navigation and making sure that they were able to accurately and repeatably navigate to specific locations. So we've shifted away from, where we're referring to everything as just GPS, which I think gives a little bit of a false impression about how easy it is to just strap on a single kind of inexpensive chip-based GPS system and rely on it. But anyone who's worked with those systems long enough understands that there's a lot of error and drift that comes into play with those systems, especially when you're dealing with the smaller, just single chipset based GPSs. The shift to GNSS really is starting to focus more on a navigation system that's able to leverage any of the multiple satellite constellations that are in orbit, and thinking more comprehensively, a little bit tongue-tied here tonight, but thinking more about how all those devices work, where the drift occurs, ways that you can mitigate drift on your rover, concepts like differential GNSS, if any teams are implementing that. But as teams have really started to focus on that, we have seen a lot more success with just that basic navigation to the right accurate coordinate. And then when it does come time to shift over to those visual-based searches, it's much better to be in the right ballpark of where you need to be conducting that visual search. It certainly aids the rover quite a bit.
Yeah, I was going to say a standard cheap GPS chip will only get you about, nominally about 10 meters accuracy. Out in the desert with lots of satellites overhead, those can get you to within a meter or so, but getting down to centimeter accuracy is capable with some of the newer systems, particularly if you guys have a stationary base station, and you can correct the signal from the satellites. Then we've had last year in particular, we had several teams stop right over the top of the GNSS locations, rather than just vaguely in the area, and being able to do so repeatedly. So the quality of the location and GPS waypointing is improved dramatically, and at least in capability of what the teams can do. So hopefully this will help teams, particularly in other missions like the delivery task, and just the ability to go to where you want to get to in the missions.
Yeah, we can see a video here of one of the teams last year. As teams are watching this, is a little bit more of a friendly environment. This doesn't quite stress teams with obstacle avoidance the way Darrel described. So for this year, we are going to be changing the location slightly. The new north site, we haven't published the coordinates yet, but it is going to be a little further up the road from where any of the returning teams are used to from previous years. And for all the teams, new or returning, we'll make sure everyone has coordinates and knows how to find the new north site. But we are moving to a new location. It's going to give us a little bit of a different variety of terrain, which is really going to make things pretty interesting. So we're excited to see how that plays out here. Now, it is an important reminder to teams when your rover does arrive at the final coordinate. The rover itself is supposed to have an LED indicator on there that flashes and declares that it has autonomously made a decision that it has arrived. Similarly, for the base station, the operators, your computer should have a display that judges are able to see, that judges on both ends at the base station as well as out following the rover. Everyone's aware that the rover has made that decision. Now, if for any reason a team needs to intervene in the process, they don't think the rover is going to make it or declare the wrong point, it's important that you go through, you read the rules closely, but then also take a look at the questions and answers section on the URC webpage. It talks through some of those contingency procedures, how that gets handled, and how you are able to redirect the rover. There are specific rules in there about regaining teleoperated control over the rover and how you're able to reprogram it to either return to a previous waypoint or reprogram it to, again, start a leg over from the most recent point. So it's important to understand those details carefully. So, and with that, I think hopefully this has given everybody a good overview of what to expect this year. So a lot that's similar from previous years, a couple new wrinkles that I think are going to be a fun adventure for all of the teams. And we are a little over a week away from seeing teams out in Hanksville, Utah. We're excited to see you all out there. Thanks again to Darrel for joining us this evening. And we will see teams in Utah soon. Thanks again.